What is going on, guys? This is Crowzin, and welcome back to another Baldur's Gate 3 build. This is my Pure Vengeance Paladin, and Pure Vengeance Pallies are basically single target boss killers. That's what they specialize in, so they're not really going to wow you with any kind of AoE damage, but they're one of the better single target damage dealers in the game. And going with a Pure Vengeance Paladin straight up to level 12 has a lot of good benefits. You know, at level 3, they unlock Vow of Enmity, which gives them free advantage for 10 straight turns without any kind of debuff. At level 9, they get the haste spell. At level 11, they get improved Divine Smite, which is going to be used like 95% of the time. And then at level 12, they get that additional feat. So there's a lot of good benefits. They're a pretty simple class, but yet they're still kind of fun. So yeah, let's get into making a Pure Vengeance Pally. So starting out with our ability points, we're going to be two-handing weapons, so strength is going to be our main stat here. So it's a good idea to go up to 17 strength and then also 15 charisma. We're not really going to worry about spell casting with charisma, but mainly aura of protection, because it grants you a bonus based on your charisma towards saving throws, which means that you're going to be able to keep concentration spells up a lot longer. Basically, yeah, you're never going to fail a Constitution saving throw. And speaking of Constitution, we're going to go with 14 Constitution here. 12 Dexterity. A lot of people like to have this lower, but I like to have a little bit higher initiative. I don't like starting last every fight, so 12 is a good starting point here. And then just going for 8 Intelligence and 8 Wisdom. For skill proficiencies, we're going to go with Athletics and Persuasion. If you don't plan on shoving any enemies, though, you could probably swap Athletics out for Intimidation. It might help you out on some dialogue checks. And yeah, Oath of Vengeance is our subclass, and that is how we're going to start out this character. Next up is guiding you guys all the way up to level 12 with the level path here. So at level 2, we get a fighting style. You have two options here. You could go for great weapon fighting or defense. I tend to stick with great weapon fighting, but if you want that extra bonus to your armor class, you could go for that as well. At level 4, you get your first feat, and you have two options here. You could either go for ability improvements, get your strength to 18 and your charisma to 16, that way they're at nice even numbers. Your other option is to go with Great Weapon Master early, because at level 3, as I stated earlier on, you get Vow of Enmity, which means that you're going to have advantage on all of your attacks, so it's not really going to hinder the -5 melee attack bonus that you get towards attack rolls. So it's a good idea to maybe go with Great Weapon Fighter this early if you want a big boost to your melee damage at level 4. At level 8, we get our second feat, and if you chose Great Weapon Master at level 4, then at this point you could go for 1 in Strength and 1 in Charisma and get those to nice even numbers. And finally, at level 12, we get our third feat. This is where I go for ability improvement and I get my strength up to 20. Just keep in mind that based on our gear, we can actually respec at level 12 and change up all of our ability points and our feats to better enhance our character towards the late game. So I'll kind of go over that more once we get into the gear setup, but just keep that in mind that you know, later on you could respec and make your character even better. But this is a good way to progress all the way up to level 12. So next up is taking a look at our spells. So I'm going to quickly hover over the prepared spells that I have on my character. Just keep in mind that most of these you're never going to use. And that's especially true once you reach level 9. Because once you unlock Haste, that is going to be your main concentration spell that you're going to use 99% of the time. And you're also going to use Divine Smite all the time, whether that is initially or as a reaction. So your only other spell that you're going to be using in combination with those two is going to be Misty Step. Misty Step is great for a Paladin because they don't have any ranged attacks. So you got to get in melee range or you got to get closer to a boss. That is where Misty Step comes into play, and it is a great bonus action to have. and it's always prepared, so you don't have to ever worry about preparing this. But yeah, their other concentration spells are good too, but the thing is, once you reach level 9, you're never really going to use those anymore because haste is just going to win out. But hold person is great early on. Hunter's Mark is good. Bane is good. You know, even Bless. Bless is another really great one. The only other thing is Warden of Vitality. This is a really good spell that you get later on in the game, and you know, you can use this as well, but it's probably not going to be needed in most cases. And then you also have access to aid, but you might have another character that can upcast this higher than level 3 and give you more temporary hit points than just 15. So, but yeah, like I said, the 3 bread and butter spells here late game are going to be Haste, Divine Smite, and Misty Step. So now we could take a look at the gear setup for a Vengeance Pally, and it's pretty simple here. The main thing that you want is an improved chance of getting a critical hit, because that is really going to increase the damage of your Divine Smite. And you can do that by stacking the Horn Helmet and also the Deadshot Bow. That way you combine this with the advantage that a Vengeance Paladin is always going to have. You're going to get a lot of criticals more often than not, and that is really going to determine when you want to use a Divine Smite on the critical. And then also having a ring such as Killer Sweetheart where you can time a guaranteed critical hit is really going to be beneficial, because let's say you have to have a critical hit on the boss at a certain time. Well, that's where Killer Sweetheart comes into play. And then also, you know, I went for heavy armor here, so Hell Dusk armor. If you don't have Hell Dusk armor, Armor of Persistence will work. And then if you want to swap out one of these rings for whatever reason, Ring of Protection is another solid option that you can get early on in the game. It's not really going to help you too much out with the saving throws, because Aura of Protection combined with high Charisma is really going to give you more than enough that you're going to need for the Constitution saving throws. But yeah, for a two-handed weapon, pick anything that has high damage and just go for that. You know, I went for Baldur's Giant Slayer in the end. But yeah, this is where you can finally respec your character and really increase the rest of your stats and gain an additional feat. So once you have Gauntlets of Healed Giant Strength and Amulet of Greater Health, you can respec your character, put Strength and Constitution down to 8, and you could start leveling up all of your other stats. So you could get your Dexterity to 15, and you could get your Charisma to 17. And then for the feats, you can use Ability Improvement to get Charisma and Dexterity to even numbers, cap those out at 18 and 16, and then you could still go for Great Weapon Master for your first or second feat. And then for the final feat, you could go for Savage Attacker, where Savage Attacker is going to give you the damage rolls needed for Divine Smite. So it could re-roll the damage rolls, give you better overall damage every time you use Divine Smite, and that is really just going to enhance your character even more. So for the last part of this video, I'm going to showcase a basic fight featuring the Vengeance Paladin. So the first thing that you always want to do is cast your Oath, and that is Vow of Enmity. You want to get that going so that way you have advantage for 10 straight turns without any kind of downside. So you want to get that out of the way right away, and then you also want to go for Haste and cast this on your first turn. That way you're set up for the next turn and beyond to get a total of 5 attacks per turn. So now what we can do is we could start attacking. And what I like to do first, if there isn't a boss, I like to go for the enemy with the lowest health. That way I trigger the ring effect. So that way I'm guaranteed a critical. So we might as well just go for this guy since he only has 28 health. And now we have the Executioner buff ready for our next attack. So another thing that you always want to do is put all of your reactions to ask for your Divine Smite, because there's going to be certain instances where you may only want to use this on a critical hit. There might be other instances where you want to use this. Maybe there's an enemy that only has like 10 or 20 health left. You just need that extra push from the Divine Smite in order to kill the target. So always keep them on ask. It's just going to be better off for you in the long run. And so now we got a guaranteed critical, so we might as well just use Divine Smite. I'm going to cast it as a level 1 spell, and I'm going to go for this target since they have the most HP. So let's go ahead, and this should easily take this target out with Executioner. And yeah, pretty simple there. And so now I'll probably just go over here so that way I can trigger an opportunity attack in case one of these archers decides to run. And then also, when we're talking about the bonus attack from Great Weapon Master, it only works if you kill them regularly or if you kill them while you cast Divine Smite. So if you try to use it, and let's say you use your regular attack and you use Divine Smite as a reaction and you kill them with the reaction, it won't trigger your bonus attack, so you won't get the bonus attack for that turn. So if an enemy is low, just use no reaction at all and just use an extra main hand attack in order to gain the bonus action. So now we're in turn 2, and thanks to setting our character up with buffs in turn 1, now we can get 5 total attacks in each turn. And as you guys seen, this enemy died thanks to an opportunity attack crit. So if we're lucky, we should be able to kill all 4 of these enemies in this turn if we could get some crits. So we didn't get a crit there. I'm going to choose not to react. And in this case, I'm just going to use another main hand attack. That way I could get the bonus attack here for Great Weapon Master. And I'm going to use it on this archer. And again, we did not get a critical. So at this point, I'm just going to go right back into another one. And we have 1 extra attack here. I'm going to make sure that I kill this enemy, and I should be able to reach this destination. I'm not sure why it's telling me that. So let me go like over here, and now let me cast Divine Smite, and casting this at a level 3 spell, I should be able to kill this enemy with 74 health. And we got a critical there, so I don't think it would have mattered though. So at this point, what I'm going to do is just go over here, and if this archer tries to run, then we should be able to kill him with an opportunity attack. So the archer chose not to run, which is strange because normally they always like to run. So at this point, we got 1 enemy left, 62 health. We might as well just showcase some of the damage here. So I'm just going to use a normal Divine Smite and upcast it to level 3. And this should kill this enemy regardless whether it's a crit or not. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Pure Vengeance Paladin build. And as you guys can see in the combat, it's a very simple build. And you're mainly just going to be a heavy single target damage dealer. And you're going to be fishing for criticals because the criticals are going to do some insane damage when you use Divine Smite. And that is really how this build works. And you're going to have haste. You're going to have advantage on every enemy for 10 straight turns, which is a pretty overpowered move that you could get at level 3. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, but yeah, it's a very simple build. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know what other build you want to see for Baldur's Gate 3, and I will see you in the next video.